This is the ORU Baseball Coaches Show, powered by Playfly. Get the inside scoop and unique perspective from the winningest coach in program history, Ryan Fulmer. Now, here's your host, the voice of the Golden Eagles, Connor Clakr.
Welcome back into another edition of the ORU Baseball Coaches Show here live on the ORU Sports Network. Connor Clakr, pleased to be joined by the head coach, Ryan Fulmer, as always, as we bring you installment number 5 of the Baseball Coaches Show. And we've got a lot to talk about per usual, a lot of good stuff to talk about per usual as well. But, Coach, thanks so much for sticking with us here on this Wednesday afternoon. And I know we've got a lot to cover, especially the game last night that was an absolute thriller from start to finish. We'll get there eventually. We'll start with the weekend. But, first of all, how you doing after last night?
Good. I think you always sleep a little bit better after a couple wins, right? So been able to sleep a little bit, but it's good, man. You know, you take today, I think, and I'm kind of getting off track here, but Wednesday's become a really important day for us kind of leading into weekends, obviously coming off a Tuesday game, but, you know, the Wednesday and Thursday preparation leading into a conference weekend become extremely important. So just trying to prepare for today and trying to get better today leading into another big conference weekend for us.
Hey, you mentioned another big weekend coming up. You guys will travel to Omaha to take on the Mavericks for the first of 2 series in the regular season. And we'll get to that. And it's a team in Omaha that hasn't played baseball in actually quite some time. So we'll see how rusty or well-rested that the Mavericks could be.
Which one's it going to be, right?
One end or the other. There's no middleman in this situation. So that'll be kind of an interesting conversation to dissect going into that series, and we'll get there. But let's start with Northern Colorado. Last weekend, you guys played Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and you guys get a sweep of the Bears, and you do it again. I feel like we're sounding like a broken record halfway through the season, but you do it in low scoring and in pretty thrilling fashion in all 3 games. And the pitching staff was phenomenal per usual. The offense came through when you needed it, and you guys squeak out 3 close ones. Final scores in that series, 3-1, 3-2, and then 3-2 again. And in a game where, or really in a series where the Bats may not have had the same success as you guys would envision as you guys had last year against the Bears, again, it's when it counted the most is I feel like when we saw some of the biggest swings of the weekend. Yeah,
that 3-1 score on Friday seems like a blowout now, right? You win by 2 runs instead of 1. But yeah, I mean, that's the way it goes. I think different teams find different ways to win. And, man, we've won a ton of games on the mound and defensively. And obviously last weekend, those 2 things, man, were on full display, right? I thought we got great starts. We got outstanding bullpen work, and the defense was tremendous as well. So that part needs to continue. And again, as you and I talked the other day, I think we're going to hit our stride offensively. I think we're going to get rolling. And I think, when this team does do that, then, man, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. So, a lot of close ones this weekend. But I look at it this way too, man. When you get late in the year and you're playing really good people, especially in the postseason, you're going to play a ton of those. And you better be comfortable playing games that way, that are close, that are tight, that are back and forth a little bit. So I think all those are learning moments and growing moments to prepare you for what's going to happen later in the year too.
Well, you mentioned winning by 2 runs feels like a blowout. You guys have won 7 one-run games after last night, which is insane. It's April 8th, and we've still got about 25 or so more games left to play. And you mentioned being comfortable in those spots, and when you get into the important games down the stretch, it's only going to help you. And when you guys have people that are experienced in that realm, but also you have some youth in your pitching staff that we've covered throughout the year. Of course, Easton Teal is kind of the spearhead of that, but we saw really good outings from him. We saw good stuff out of Nathan Love, who's more of a veteran guy on that staff. And then we saw Jackson Farrell make his first start of the year on that Saturday game. And I thought he pitched pretty well in that role as well.
Yeah, I thought all of those guys were really, really good. And let's not overlook, I know you and I have talked about it since then, but what Connor Johnson did in the middle of the week last week too. Mm-hmm. 5 1/3 against a really good OU team that I thought he was as good as maybe he's been since he's been on campus. And again, it's been a lot of fun, and I hope our fans appreciate how fun it is to watch some of these young pitchers grow and develop, and kind of see that growth over the last couple of years. So it's been a lot of fun to watch. It's been a lot of fun to be a part of, and man, we look forward to those guys continuing to grow and develop as well. And then you take on the other side of that too. You take a guy like Jack Hill, who has a ton of experience, right, and is doing what he's doing. A guy that can pitch in a ton of different roles. He can start. He can be in the middle. Saw him last night late in the game. So, it's fun to watch this staff, man. If you're a true fan of baseball, watching these guys pitch and watching our bullpen and to see how those guys maneuver through games has been a lot of fun.
It really has been, and for us up in the booth too, it's almost like playing a chess game against the dugout, looking down there, because it's like, okay, where are they going to go in this
What's
situation?
next?
I mean, there's about 8 different ways that they can go to right here, and it'll be interesting to see which one that you guys decide to do. And I think we did that a couple of times last night, but again, we'll get to that game here in just a few moments. But over the last week, too, Easton Teal wins Pitcher of the Week in the Summit League. Hudson Ellis wins Player of the Week in the Summit League. And I want to start with Hudson because you look at his slash line, and on paper it looks good, but I don't think it tells the full story because, I mean, he had to invent a ton of different ways to reach base. And then you and I talked over the last weekend, too. I mean, he had to score in some unique ways as well, but kind of shows his versatility as a player, and he can get things done in a variety of different ways.
Well, I think, and I can't remember, you probably remember better than I do, but I think it was game 2 last weekend where he draws a leadoff walk, right? He steals second, they throw a ball into center field, he gets to third, and then he scores on a strikeout. When you talk about offensive teams and finding ways to manufacture runs, it's a very unique way to manufacture a run. And Hudson's been able to do that for us. He's a guy that's really athletic. He can do different things, and man, we've seen him stretch the offense that way, right? Scoring with his legs, and then last night he makes a big swing with the ball in the gap with 2 outs that ends up being the eventual winning run as well. So, and he is a young player that, man, his best days are still way out in front of him. It's fun to watch him grow to this point, but man, it's really going to be fun to see his development over the next couple of years.
And he's also been a guy that you guys have flexed around the lineup recently too. I mean, he's been batting 9th a lot this year, kind of that turnover guy in the lineup, but then we've also seen him in the leadoff spot. We've seen him in that top 3. And how have you seen him adjust to those spots? And of course, he has succeeded wherever he's been in the lineup this far. And you mentioned he's a young player. He's got a lot of really good baseball ahead of him.
Yeah, I think you just try to put him in different spots. I think early in the year, you try to protect him a little bit. Let's not forget it's a freshman, right? He hasn't up until this year he hasn't had a college at bat. So trying to protect him early, and now you can just see him flourish, and you're not scared to put him anywhere because he's produced in a lot of different spots, and he's produced in a lot of different ways. So again, another guy that gives you a tremendous amount of flexibility. We're talking about his offense right now, but what he's done defensively for this team has been tremendous as well.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that he's only technically a freshman when it comes to playing experience. He certainly does not look like it out there on the diamond. And then, of course, the other young guy that does not look like a young guy on the bump is Easton Teal winning Player of the Week. And he puts together 7 innings on Thursday night. We talked about his weird schedule, and he ran into some traffic early on in that game, but he worked around it extremely well, and I think he only got stronger as that start went out. And more of a pro baseball stat, but you can apply it to the college game too, and it's one that I really like to keep track of, especially when it comes to Easton, is his quality starts. He's got 4 in a row now, and all 4 of them this season have come in the last 4 starts as well. And I think that is a really good metric to see just how consistent a pitcher can be and how in control of the game they can be, and Easton Teal has done just that over the last month.
Yeah, we haven't had, in my time here, we haven't had many young pitchers kind of do what he's doing, right? And that's those quality starts that you're talking about. Those become extremely important. That means you're going out and you're knocking down some innings and you're giving your team a chance to win. And to see a young guy, as you said, kind of navigate not only schedules, not only teams, not only lineups, but just navigate his growth and development into being a young player, man, has been special, right? I hope people appreciate, just what he's doing it's still a very young age, right? Again, and you can see him getting better each and every time out. You can see him get stronger as the game goes on. His velo usually ticks up when we hit the fourth, fifth inning, and he's one of those guys that doesn't wow you with the stuff. It's very, very good, but super competitive, good command of his stuff. And next thing you look up and it's the sixth or seventh inning and you're wondering what the heck just happened, and we're there in an hour and a half. So, all those things are good.
Yeah, who needs the pitch clock when Easton Teal is pitching? I mean,
Don't need it.
We're playing baseball games in 2 hours and 15 minutes, it feels like, every other day, which is unheard of. But except for last night, that was a little bit longer. But again,
that was a long one.
Well,
we were talking about that earlier this morning. That's the longest one we've played in a while.
Oh yeah, that's been one of the longer baseball games I think I've ever been a part of. Just looking back across all levels, but I mean, you talk about Easton's professionalism, and I feel like just the professionalism of the entire pitching staff. And I do want to highlight Wes Davis and the job that he's done this year with that group, because I mean, every post game they're meeting on the field, and I know he's had one-on-one conversations, especially with a lot of the later bullpen guys. I saw him talking to Jack Hill post game yesterday. Talked to Cash Ferris a couple of days ago as well, after those guys were in some pretty big save situations. But I mean, what have you seen from him? Obviously, you guys have worked together for a long time at ORU, and it's kind of like yin and yang when it comes to the coaching staff. But he's done a phenomenal job with that group.
Yeah, outstanding job, and especially, we'll go all the way back to last year when a lot of those guys were freshmen, transitioning into this year, and you can see the development. But man, just super steady, super consistent with what they do and how they do it, and I think you can see that. You see a lot of guys with the calm, slow heartbeat, good demeanor. As it's getting tough, those guys kind of settle in and get stronger. So, done a great job with this bunch, man. We're super excited for what the next couple months have for them as well. But yeah, Wes has done a great job. And we had a new addition to our staff too. Parker Frazier is new with us this year and is helping Wes, and he's been a great addition to our staff as well.
And just that trickle down effect too from the staff to the players. And I mean, it's college baseball. It's a bunch of 18 to 22-year-old guys, and things are going to get fired up. And obviously, baseball can be an emotional sport. And I think that's one of the things that makes it so great. But at the same time, your staff is just so even keel, I feel like, all the time. And they say, good teams take the personality of their head coach, of their coaching staff. And I think we see that with this group a lot because, again, you go back to last night, there were a lot of instances where, okay, Oklahoma State responds, you could just kind of mail it in saying, all right, we'll get them next time. But every single time it was even keel, new inning, essentially new ball game every single inning, and it's really worked out in their favor.
Yeah, I think we try to do that. I think sometimes we're better than others with that. But yeah, man, we understand it's a long season. There's going to be good. There's going to be bad. And I think if you get too emotional about either one, the good or the bad, then it kind of pulls your team away from what's really important, and that's trying to continue to get better and play well. So I think when the focus stays on that process of finding ways to play well, then it's a little bit easier to not get tied up in the emotion of the game. So I think our staff does a really good job of that. I think our players respond to that, and hopefully we continue to build that as the season goes on.
Well, we keep teasing it. Let's jump to last night. And I guess the first question I have for you is where do we start? Because that was – I don't know about you, but for me, in the very limited ORU, OSU games I've seen, whether that's before my time here or during my time here, I mean, that's got to be up there for one of the better games ever played in this rivalry.
Yeah, I mean, it would have to be up there. It was back and forth all night long. Big swings, big pitches, big moments, mistakes. And both teams just kept responding and kept playing. What a fun game to be a part of. I'm sure it was entertaining to watch, but it was sure fun to be a part of. Yeah, proud of the way our guys just, as you said, just hung in there, right? We didn't play extremely clean, We had an uncharacteristic error. As good as we've been defensively, we had an error that kind of cost us. I think we hit 4 guys last night. Is that right? I think we had 4 hit batters last night, and we walked a couple more. So that has not been characteristic of our pitching staff this year. But we responded. We just kept responding. We kept it at those moments, and man, sometimes you don't have to play perfect to be able to win a game. And I think that's what our players learned last night is that we have a good team. We need to keep growing and getting better, but at the same time, we can win and not play extremely well. So, fun game to be a part of, man. As you said, it was entertaining back and forth. We knew it was going to kind of be that way, especially in that ballpark where the ball really carries. It's a team that is really, really good at home. Man, they are big and strong and physical, and I think they end up hitting 4 home runs last night, and they're a top 5 team in the country in home runs. So we knew that was going to be part of it. And man, how are we going to respond when those moments happen? And I thought our guys' response was very good.
You mentioned a team in Oklahoma State that's been really good at home. That was just their 3rd loss of the season in that ballpark. They're 15-3 now, and you guys win it 10-9 last night. And this goes against everything we talked about over the weekend, because we talked about, okay, the offense. It's going to pop at some point. When is it going to pop? And you guys scored an average of below 3 runs over the last 5 games, and then you come into last night, and it starts right away with Edmondson reaching on the error, and then Tanaka putting one over the right field fence. You guys had 4 multi-run innings last night, including the 8th and the 9th, which were some of the most important runs of the entire ball game. But we saw big swings throughout. We saw you guys manufacture runs. We saw you guys hit the long ball a few times as well. And it wasn't, one way or the other. You guys did it in a multitude of facets. And I think it was difficult maybe at times for the OSU defense to try and pick up on that. And, of course, they also made some mistakes on the defensive end.
Yeah, I think I look back on that game, and we constantly talk about 3 to 5 moments in a game is really going to determine the outcome of most games. I kind of, as we've had a chance to reflect on the game a little bit, you think about it and go, for me, there were 3 really big moments on the offensive end that I thought were huge. I thought McConaughey's swing in the first inning kind of broke the ice a little bit, right? Got it rolling. I thought that was a really big moment. I thought Cole Dudding's swing in that moment where they had just scored, right? And the response to that score was
Can we
big.
confirm that ball has landed, by the way?
I don't think it has yet.
That was destroyed.
It was. He covered it. And again, big momentum swing, big moment. It was a loud swing, loud moment. I thought it kind of swung the momentum back. Mm-hmm. And then obviously, the big swing that we get from Hudson Ellis in the 8th inning, right? And you look at Hudson Ellis' swing, and you looked at Cole Dudding's swing, both of them with 2 strikes, and both of them big moments in the game. And I thought Hudson's swing was really good, especially after a 3-1 pitch that potentially was ball 4, and you could see him kind of step out and regroup, and then step back in and have a really big moment. So those 3 moments on the offensive end I thought were really big. We obviously, on the other end, man, we turned 3 double plays in the first 4 innings, and a couple of those were really difficult double plays. I look back to the one that Ethan Fender started, 3-6-3 double play was really big in that moment. And then you look at the double play that Cooper Kelly starts at third base of 5-4-3, and that double play was really good on Cooper's end, right? Getting that ball that's hit down the line. And then Martell does a great job in the middle of the field getting that thing redirected. So I thought that was a big moment.
Yeah, 3 double plays, 3 different ways. I mean, I
thought Luke Williams coming in the game with the bases loaded and getting out. I thought that was a huge moment. So there was a bunch of really good things that happened, man. We didn't play real clean. We didn't play great, but, man, we had some big moments in that game.
Yeah, I would agree with you. That Cole Dudding swing was definitely one of the big moments for me last night. And you said it, too. I mean, he takes a pitch that maybe looks like ball four. It's not. He steps back in. It's a full count. OSU just took the momentum back. It's a tie ball game, and he absolutely just unloads on that baseball down the left field line. And I think that says a lot about Cole as a guy because, I mean, he's come in some pretty big situations and has given you guys some pretty big swings this year in limited time. And I think he put together a lot of really good swings last night. He had a home run taken away from him in the second inning as well, so potentially 2 long balls on the night. But that was just a massive, massive at-bat, as you said, kind of shift the momentum back over to your side with a pretty loud swing.
Yeah, it takes 3 to 5 of those. We need 3 to 5 of those a game, and those are swings that swing the momentum, for lack of a better term. So we were able to make them last night. And you look back on the weekend, I thought we had a couple of those on the weekend too. We talked about the way Hudson Ellis kind of creates a run, but man, we made swings when we needed to. You look at the Sunday game, and we end up giving a 2-run homer to tie the game late. An immediate response, right? An immediate response by this team. You come back out, you score one in the bottom of the 8th inning, and you end up hanging on to win a game 3-2. So we've been able to make a couple of those, man. We're just waiting on making a couple more of them, right? And maybe earlier in the game too. So yeah, we'll see, man. We're a work in progress. We're going to try to keep getting better, and that's where our mind goes today.
Another big stat, too, that sticks out to me, you guys score in 5 innings. OSU responded with runs in 4 of those 5 innings, and you guys still end up winning by the 1 run, 10-9. And let's go on to what I thought was the moment of the game. And now, of course, you're the head coach, so you may have a different perspective on this. But one of the gutsiest defensive plays I have seen from Martell Davis, throwing it home with 1 out to cut down the potential tying run in the bottom of the 9th inning. I mean, that was unbelievable. And it was moments after Connie Yates elects to go to second on the bunt that was right in front of home plate. That was a bang-bang play that goes to review. It doesn't go your guys' way. And then moments later, you guys get that ground ball, and Davis throws a strike. Connie Yates with a nice tag. And, I mean, to me, defensively, despite the 3 double plays and everything else that happened, that is the play of the night. It was unbelievable.
That was a big moment. Obviously, a big moment in the game. You got the winning run tied at second base, and Martell makes a great play, a great throw. We're able to kind of hang on to it. But it starts with a good pitch, too. I thought Jack made a really good pitch to a really good hitter, and we were able to make plays. You got to make plays, man. You have to find a way to make plays and make plays when it counts. And, man, that was obviously a huge, huge moment in the game, too. So, our guys just hung in there and just kept playing, kept competing, and, able to get it done.
You mentioned Jack Hill in that moment, too. And, I mean, let's talk about him. He's got 4 saves on the year right now. You mentioned that, he can fill a multitude of roles out of that bullpen spot right now. He can even start for you if need be with those innings that he could compile. And he comes into the ball game. You guys take the 2-run lead, a lot of momentum on your side. He gives up the home run to Brueggemann to start off the inning to make it 10-9. And then I think one of the big storylines, too, that you can't really forget is Oklahoma State had runners on first and second, so the winning run on first base with nobody out, and they do not score any more runs. And, of course, the big defensive play from Davis, but the poise from Hill in that situation as well was really, really impressive. And, of course, for him, he caps it off with a strikeout to end the ball game.
Yeah, without question. And, man, you can even go back to the sacrifice bunt, right? First and second, nobody out. And they go sacrifice bunt, and Jack makes a great play and gets the ball in a hurry and was getting ready to make a play at third, bobbles the ball, stays under control, stays composed, and gets the out at first base. Another huge out, a huge moment that kind of goes a little bit unnoticed. It gets covered up because you get an out, but going, man, that's not an easy play. That's not an easy out. And then the next play is Martell's play at the plate. So a lot of things happening in that 9th inning, right? It would have been real easy for Jack to go, you know what, not my day. Home run, next guy single, next guy we don't get an out on the bunt, and it's just not it. But man, buckled down, made pitches, made a defensive play, and next thing you know, and let's not forget the final out, right? Is one of the tougher outs in that lineup, and Jack punches him on 3 pitches, I believe. run some fastballs up there, and I think he got 3 straight check swings maybe. But really good stuff at the end of the game too. So there was a lot of things happening in the 9th inning. But again, make pitches, make plays, just keep responding, keep playing, and man, that's what happened.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a fun game to be a part of. I would be lying if I said that my voice was not feeling it today after about 4.5 hours of baseball last night, from the pregame through the postgame, but it was well worth it. And I mean, just big moment after big moment. And we're just kind of going down the line here, too, of things that transpired. I thought another huge moment that did result in a run for Oklahoma State, but it was a moment that you could envision a lot worse things happening, is when Colin Ritchie comes to the plate with the bases loaded and you guys get a sac fly out of him. And I thought that was a huge, huge point in the game as well, because you keep the offense in check for Oklahoma State with one of the best home run hitters in the entire country. You get the run, but you get the out as well. I feel like that's a trade you're willing to make in that situation, and it ends up paying off.
Yeah, without question, you make that trade in that spot. I mean, he's driven in almost 50, and we're halfway through the season, right? He's got 18 or 19 home runs now, I think, and we're halfway through the season. So in that moment, facing one of the better hitters in the country, I think we were willing to make that trade. I think that's a good trade, and obviously paid off in the long run. But again, guys making pitches, right? Not fear of contact. You're driving the ball in the zone, and man, good things will happen. So another one of those moments, man. There were a bunch of them last night where the game could have gone either way, and luckily we were able to make a couple more plays and hang on.
Well, let's flip the page before we get you out of here to the weekend. You guys take on Omaha for the first time this year, a team that is currently second in the Summit. They were picked preseason second in the Summit as well, currently at 6-3 in league play, 10-15 overall. They haven't played baseball in quite some time because of the weather going on up in the Dakotas. So that'll be kind of an interesting storyline to display throughout the 3 games on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But from your view, what do you notice about this Mavericks team heading into the weekend? Again, a team that can be pretty sneaky, and I think we've had some, pretty big ball games out at Tal Anderson Field over the last few years as well.
Well, this is a good club. This is a talented team. I think when you look at their lineup, I think a couple of guys they got at the top of the lineup. Zapay was a conference player of the year a year ago, who was returned. They have Jackson Trout, who's I think leading the league in hitting right now. Has been very, very good. So it's an explosive offense. I think the theme still stays the same for us, man. No free passes, keep the ball in the ballpark, and we feel good about what's going on with some of the matchups we have. I think you look at the other side, and the Friday night guy is going to be 92 to 95 miles an hour, and it's a really good slider. It's an out pitch. So we're going to have to make some swings. We're going to have to be really good situationally. We're going to have to be really disciplined inside the strike zone. We're going to have to make some swings at some point. We're going to have to draw some walks to try to create some offense. And again, I think the thing for this team kind of stays the same. As teams create an identity, I think what the script needs to look like a little bit. And for us, that's kind of it. But good club that I know you said they're sneaky, man. They don't sneak up on us. We know that this is going to be a talented team, and they're especially good at home too. So be a fun weekend for us.
I will say it's kind of funny in this conference that, especially in baseball, I mean, the goal is to get to Omaha, right? And you guys get to go there once every single regular season.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's kind of a funny question, but also a serious question at the same time. I mean, does that serve as a reminder to your guys about, hey, I mean, we're here right now. I know we're not here for the CWS, but this is where we want to end up eventually.
I don't know. I mean, that's a good question. Maybe we need to ask some of our players about that. I think, we play there so often, right, that maybe you look at it very, very differently. Like, yes, we're in Omaha, but, this is over here and this is kind of over here. So almost like 2 different places that you go to. So I don't know if that carries. I think, when you look around our league, we play each other so often that you just become so familiar with ballparks, with cities, with hotels, with, the certain route on your trip up to where you're going. You eat at the same place, you stop at the same place. So there's just so much familiarity when you go. I think that's like two separate places. But I will tell you this, when we were up in the College World Series a couple of years ago, one of the practice sites is Omaha's field. So one of the practice days, we were actually practicing at that field, and that became a little bit surreal. So there is a little bit of connection there, I will admit.
You guys felt like you were at home sweet home almost with the practice site.
It was pretty comfortable. That's right.
Well, one last thing before I get you out of here, because you mentioned the travel and the familiarity, and now I got to ask you, what is the best hotel in the league, in your opinion?
Oh, the best hotel in the league. I tell you, when we go to Omaha, and a lot of it has to do with location,
right?
More than the actual hotel. So where we stay in Omaha and the Axarben Village is a really good place to stay. So I'd probably have to pick Omaha.
I would agree. I think that's a good pick. I didn't know this until we went last year that Axarben is actually Nebraska spelled backwards.
Yeah.
And as somebody who went to school in that state, I feel like that was a little bit of malpractice. I feel like I should have done that. So
you should have known that.
A little embarrassed to admit that. But
yeah.
Coach, thanks so much for the time. As always, of course, another big weekend coming up for your squad, and a lot of fun last weekend and, of course, last night in that thriller of a ball game. But we will catch up with you again pregame on Friday for the series opener.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Connor.
Well, that is the head coach, Ryan Fulmer. This has been the ORU Baseball Coaches Show, installment number 5 coming your way. We will talk to you again next week as Oral Roberts takes on Omaha for 3 games over the weekend, and they look to expand on their 9-0 conference play start. So thanks so much for making us part of your lunch hour here on this Wednesday. This has been the ORU Baseball Coaches Show on the ORU Sports Network.